Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Umbral Horror deck. Now this deck was suggested to me by Benjamin Thompson, and the idea behind the deck is really just XYZ summoning. It's pretty much that simple. You use these cards that just help you XYZ summon, and they're really weird cards. They usually have really weird stats, and I'll talk a little bit about how the deck works. So first off, 3 Unforms. So Unform just allows you to bring out your Umbral Horrors really nicely. To set up things really well. And then Umbral Horror Ghoul. So this one has 1800 attack, which is nice that you actually have one of them that's a beater. And whenever you want, once you get the Umbral Horrors in your hand, you can use him to special summon another one to XYZ very easily. And then we have Umbral Horror Will-O-Wisp. So just really nicely that when he gets special summoned, he'll take the levels of the other Umbral Horrors, so you can set up what you need to do in order to get those XYZs out very easily. I'm only running 2 of him because it's not as necessary because you have a lot of other cards that help with the XYZ. So along with that, we have Mystic Tomato. Obviously can bring out a lot of these monsters very easily. Summoner Monk, obvious choice in this type of deck. Masked Chameleon is actually really good in this deck because all the Umbral Horrors have 0 defense. So with this card, we'll be able to get out 8-star synchros very easily. Not running too many synchros, but it's still useful to have. And obviously you have opportunities to use this for an XYZ as well. And then Kagetokage is just another great card in this type of deck. Another dark card, another card that's easy to get and can lead to those XYZs that require 3 level 4 monsters very easily. And then we have Secret Sect Druid. So this one, just again very good for this deck. Can special summon any of the Umbral Horrors from the graveyard. So easy XYZ again, very nice. Debris Dragon again, very useful because it can summon the lower attack Umbral Horrors. So then you'll be able to bring out more XYZs. Dark Dragon, with the very large amount of dark we're running in this deck, that can be a very useful card. Definitely a choice, but I like having access to a boss like this, especially with the amount of graveyard shifting that you can do. So for the spells, MST, Kaiser Colosseum, because we're focusing on like 1 or 2 big XYZs, this card's actually very powerful, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when I get to the extra deck. Forbidden Lance, obviously to protect your XYZs, and just a good card overall. 1 Pot of Duality, because it gets in the way of special summoning, so you don't want too much of that. Dark Eruption, Recurring Nightmare, both useful for kind of recycling from the graveyard. Foolish Burial, setting up the graveyard for what you need. Allure of Darkness for some draw power. 1 for 1 allows you to get out Will-O-Wisp really easily. And Dark Hole. Traps, mostly staples, well, all staples. Not really much to say there. So for the extra deck, we're going to have a lot of generic XYZs, but also a lot of ones that are specific for this deck. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But you're going to want the usual ones. Gagaga Cowboy, Lavalval Chain is pretty good in this deck to set up what you need. Maestroke, Blackship, the 2 new ones, Silent Honor and Exciton Knight, very good. King of the Feral Imps, so you can use this to get Kagetokage or Masked Chameleon, really good. And Master Key Bettle, somewhat of the star, one that you'll probably want to get out very often. Can cause a very annoying setup with Kaiser Colosseum. You could also run Safe Zone, another annoying combo you can do, but a very powerful monster and sets up the field nicely. And then we have a few of the 3-star ones, or not the 3-star, the 4-star XYZs that require 3 monsters. So Vylon Disigmia, very powerful effect. Number 104 is like the Umbral Horror kind of one because it can upgrade to the next Umbral Horror if you're running that type of thing. That's not what I'm running, but it's still a powerful card. And also Evil Swarm Ouroboros also has very powerful effects. And these guys aren't that hard to get out with this deck, so it makes sense to run a good amount of them. So I'm running only 2 synchros, Dark Dragon and Scrap Dragon. It is definitely a choice. The thing is, the deck is very XYZ focused. You're not going to get synchros out that often. You're only going to get them out with Masked Chameleon. So it's not really a synchro heavy deck, but you have these alternatives in here because they're very powerful cards on their own. So now for the side deck, again, side decks in my videos are just kind of recommended cards that can also work when you're building the deck. It isn't really a side deck for matches, but these are kind of the kind of cards that you might want to think about when you're running the deck. So there's a lot of light cards you can run. White Dragon Werver Buster is very good because you can easily get them out because you have so much dark, and then easily XYZ summon, so a really good card. And the more light monsters you add in, you can start adding in chaos cards like Blackluster Soldier, so that's definitely a choice. Armageddon Knight, helpful to get what you need to the graveyard. Thunder King Rayo, just a great card overall. Evil Swarm Mandragora, just another really good swarming card that's dark, so it can help you a lot for getting those XYZs out. And if you run 3 of this, you can always get out those other, Ice Swarm cards, which is really good. Reptilian Vasky is really good in this deck because you can use those low attack Umbral Horrors you have and get her out. And it's a nice boss monster in general, so that's another alternative you can run. Interesting choice in this deck. There's definitely a lot of other XYZs you can run. I'm not going to go over all of them, but there's some dark ones like Thanatos. There's the number C ones. I didn't really talk about it too much, but you can run rank ups in this deck and bring more number C's up, and you can do level 6 XYZs and the rank up for the C's and so much stuff I'm not going to get too much into. But the option is there if you want to run a deck that focuses on bringing out these kind of upgraded XYZ monsters. In addition to that, there's just a bunch of other XYZs you can run. Thunderspark Dragon, Utopia, anything you can think of. Creeping Darkness is an interesting one to kind of recycle things, but I find the other cards that I have are more useful. Creature Swap can be really good in this deck because you have these 0 attack monsters, so definitely a great choice. I was very close to running this in this deck. Escape from the Dark Dimension, another interesting one to special summon some dark monsters. Definitely a choice, helpful when you're running up against a deck that does a lot of banishing. Corrupted Keys is kind of a weird card because it's meant for Umbral Horrors, but it isn't really necessary for Umbral Horrors, but it allows you to kind of swarm the field by using XYZs you have. Really weird card. You might want to look into it though. You have like Master Key Bettle, and you might run some of these other powerful dark monsters, so having the viruses can be really good. I was definitely close to putting this one in as well, along with the other ones, still pretty good. And Dark Illusion, just a really good counter card for this deck, but definitely a choice because it's a targeting card, so it's up to you. Definitely a good counter card though. So that's my Umbral Horror deck. Definitely really fun to play. It's pretty simple in its idea. It's really just an XYZ based deck, so that's all there really is to it. But if you guys have your own Umbral Horror decks, post below, let me know in the comments, talk about what cards you use, make suggestions for me and that kind of thing. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.